welcome to Tender Loving Care with your host, myself, Pauline, and my darling Kate. Every week, Kate and I break down a show from the TLC network, the name of the network that I believe for the longest time was an acronym for Tender Loving Care. When I found out it stood for the Learning Channel and I saw the types of shows that are on that channel, my deep confusion bred this podcast. Each week, Kate and I will randomly select a show after spinning our Wheel of Shame, which contains only the trashiest of trash TLC and Discovery Plus shows that we will be studying. Hi, Kate.
Hi, happy belated Halloween, everyone.
Yes, happy Halloween. I fulfilled all my fantasies of my true self. I think I need to throw out all of my clothes and just simply wear be that person in LA that's walking around like vintage Victorian clothing because
It
Kate, it was amazing.
it suits you. You
Thank
wear
you
it
so
well.
much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Didn't have to whiten the face too much, put dark under the eyes. And it was an Isaac Mizrahi dress that I got a vintage shop for like $20, and it was perfect Victorian. And I felt very much at home, Kate.
You nailed it. I love that photo.
Thank you so much. So guys, I hope you all had a fab Halloween. Kate, did you end up doing anything? Any pumpkin carving even?
I didn't do a single thing,
Mm,
which is such a bummer, but I just wasn't in the mood. I wasn't feeling
I get it.
festive and feeling
You've
kind
got
of
to feel
junky.
festive. Mm.
Yeah, so it wasn't the most exciting Halloween for me, but I next year. There's always next year.
There's God willing,
God
there's
willing.
always next year. Yes, I didn't do anything on Halloween night. I had candy here and I didn't get that many trick-or-treaters, but I did carve pumpkins on Monday with a couple of my friends and their dog that was dressed up as Freddy Krueger, which was unbelievable.
Amazing.
Um, and then we went to a little area where I live that has a lot of the people near where I live near some of the studios. So there's people that live here that are all involved in the entertainment industry and studio stuff. So they have all of these amazing houses done up with the props. Like there was one Harry Potter house that had a full on train in their front, like a part of their train in the front garden that was having steam coming out. They
Oh,
had full on Quidditch on their roof. They had the
wow.
Harry, it was unbelievable, some of the stuff. So we went and looked at all of that.
Oh, so
And
cool.
yeah, it was a very spooky Halloween. So I enjoyed it. I don't want to take down the decorations, but I will take them down because I've got to start my Christmas decorations.
Right. On to the
So
next. Yep.
yeah, I've got all of that. So acceptable timeline. I'm thinking, do I have to wait till after Thanksgiving?
No, you're
Okay.
English anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that will be next, guys. I'll tell you something guys, if you are looking for something to watch, you know, you always want to watch spooky movies. When we were doing pumpkin carving, we were doing the classics. We were doing Scream. We were doing um I Know What You Did Last Summer, like all of the
Oh,
greats, right? All the
yeah.
great spooky movies that you'd watch at sleepovers. And then one of my friends was like, I want to watch Five Nights at Freddy. It is, if anyone has watched this film, can you Five Nights at Freddy with sorry, I don't know the right title, but you know what it is. It's about the one that you've seen with the animatronic like bears in a place that
Okay.
he's the security guard.
What
No
is that
clue.
about? Okay,
No clue
yeah.
what was going on in that film. I do know that it's based on a video game. So I know as much of that. Like it was this like viral kind of game a couple of years back. I remember my friend was playing it in San Diego. But this movie, I I didn't know what it was. If someone has watched it and seen the end of it, it was these it was like repetitive. It was leading you one way. I didn't know if it was supposed to be a horror, a comedy. I didn't know what it was. Half about kidnapping kids, but then the kids' souls are like in the bears. But then this, I don't know. I was lost, dude. I was
Okay,
lost.
I've seen that around, just the poster for it, and I've been wondering what that is. So interesting. You know what movie confused me so much was Beau is Afraid. Did you see that?
No, what is that? Beau is afraid.
It's the latest Ari Aster, is that the filmmaker who did like Midsommar and Hereditary?
Oh, and I mean, that's right up my alley. I don't know that at all. Let me look that up. Beau is Afraid.
Beau is Afraid. Listeners, if you've seen it, please DM us Tender Loving Care Podcast and tell me what you thought of this movie, because Matt and I went, and first of all, we didn't realize it's very long. It
Oh
is
God.
like 3 hours long or
No.
something.
Out. Done.
And it just, you think it's doing one thing, and then it's one of those movies that totally changes tone and stuff like partway through, and you're just like, what is going on? It is such an odd film.
I've just pulled it up. I didn't know Joaquin Phoenix was in it. So you know it's going to be something. I either love his stuff or I don't. Following the sudden death of his mother, a mild-mannered but anxiety-ridden man confronts his darkest fears as he embarks on an epic odyssey back. No, I'm out. I wouldn't watch that.
I didn't like it. I left just like, I will never get those hours back of my life. But I know some people were like, oh, you just don't get it. And I'm like, whatever.
Oh, it's so edgy. It's so edgy. Did you ever watch the film Everything Everywhere All at Once or something like that? Is that really good? I've still never seen it.
Oh, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. You have to see it. I sobbed after that movie. I cried. Really? It's so good. So good. I need to watch it again.
There was a guy that I fancied that told me he'd just watched it and he loved it. And I was like, oh, I have to watch it then. But then I stopped talking to him, so I didn't watch the film. But maybe I need to watch it. Maybe I do.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Probably my favorite film of the year, I'd say.
And this is welcome back to Movie Chat with
Movie Corner. Movie Corner.
Let's get into some serious shit, Kate. Now, guys, Wheel of Shame picked a beauty. It was in the spooky theme. We were so excited. It was called Vampires in America. Kate's going to read the synopsis in a second. I just want you to know, forget everything that you think this show was going to be about and prepare yourself for what this show actually was. I think I said this, we had that Finding Bigfoot. I thought that was one of the best shows we've ever covered. This is in the top 5.
Oh my God. I'm going to try to read this description without laughing because this gave me such joy. Okay. Vampires in America. An alarming surge in missing person cases sends vampire hunters to Arizona to investigate if a pack of blood-sucking fiends has emerged from hibernation. But their high-tech hunt uncovers a plan far more nefarious than they could have ever imagined. Woo!
Does it? Okay. This, I was like, I mean,
pages.
I know. Kate's not exaggerating. There is 6 pages of notes worthy. I want to set this up. I have said on the podcast many times, I 100% believe that vampires exist. I usually don't even use that word at night because I do believe these exist. On this podcast, we've seen people chasing, obviously, ghosts, Bigfoot, mythical creatures, Mothman. I mean, we've run the gamut of stuff, but we've never really seen a V show. So this came up on Wheel of Shame. It's a one-off. 1 hour and 24 minutes. I was thrilled, Kate. I thought, finally, we're going to see the work that people are doing to, bring it to the general consensus that these do exist, especially in America. So I was thrilled. And you see, I mean, the reviews of it, I'll get to, but it comes up black screen. And it's like, gives you a statistic about how missing people in the southwest of California between 2019 and 2020 has increased by 30%. Then straight onto a guy, right, being interviewed, vampire hunter. Vampires are real and they walk amongst us. So I'm in. I'm like, this is my show. The left turn it so rapidly took afterwards. Kate, please tell us about Eric Street and Marcel von Tegan, please.
Okay, so yes, straight in, the action starts. I had to pause this. It took me 2.5 hours to get through this because I kept pausing it and laughing my ass off and telling someone about it. So Eric and Marcel, we hear about Eric's first encounter. And what you have to kind of get on board with this documentary is that they're
Yes,
not going to,
documentary.
this very serious documentary that definitely happened. So they are going to tell you something. They're not going to
Mm.
really give you the backstory or
No,
say
no.
why they think that or what really happened.
Mm-mm.
They're just going to throw stuff at you and move on. So Eric
Straight.
is like, I had my first encounter with vampires in 1988 Scotland.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
drawn in by this charming,
Mm.
handsome man. And then I saw his fangs pop out and I got out of there. And then they move on. And you're
End
like,
of story. End
what
of story.
else happened? Where were you?
Where was this in Scotland? What happened? How did you come across it? Were you already hunting vampires then? What? Oh, they constantly go into their experiences. So that was Eric, and then we
Yeah.
have Marcel von Tegan, who is
Oh,
prime, has a very strong German accent, and he claims that I'm watching at this, but so you're maybe like 5-10 minutes in, and you're going,
yeah.
God, this documentary is like dead serious, no pun intended. It's like, this is intense. And he says, I've been my history of vampires, I'm actually the 25th generation of vampire hunters. And that's when it went, Pauline, I don't know if this show is exactly what you thought it was going to be.
5 generations. Like the 1400s. He traced it back.
Then he goes into, I used to go with my father when he used to hunt vampires. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, hold on, hope, Pauline. Hold out that this actually could be a proper documentary about people that hunt vampires. He says, yeah, and I did see him, kill a vampire in front of me. So then I'm thinking, is he admitting to his dad murdering someone in the street and he witnessed it as a child? No, it was a vampire, so it doesn't matter, it's fine.
Then there's no more details given about that story. And I was like, cut this documentary. Let's get the dad on here and talk about this. Like, what happened? Who was this guy? How'd you come across him? How'd you kill him? Obviously, you chopped his head with a machete.
Yeah, because this is the best way. They kind of go everything. They said,
Yeah.
Garlic, they don't like it might repel them. Crucifix will keep them away. And the whole thing about stake in the heart. So these two guys are like in their 50s talking about this. Like, stake in the heart, you just have to be really, really accurate because the heart's only this big. So best way, just cut their head off. And I carry a machete with me all the time just to cut a vampire's head off. That's it.
At all times.
Then they're like, and I wear this was great. It's like, and do you see this? And they have a little scarf. It's like, this is actually a Kevlar scarf that I wear around my neck, just so I can't be bitten.
Because if they see my pulsating artery, it could cause a frenzy at any time. So you got to keep it covered.
And I'm thinking, sorry, this is a documentary. Okay, move on. So we're in Arizona, Kate.
They give us, yeah. So they teach you a lot without really backing any of it up with anything. They're just throwing stuff at you. Vampires are romanticized pop culture. They're actually not capable of love. They're totally evil. And we get a quick history lesson. Prehistoric creatures evolved around 6800 BC. It's a type of hominid, but it's not human. All this stuff migrated. They just kept throwing around Europe. Like they wouldn't. Do you notice that they would never say where? They were just like, and they migrated from Europe. And you're like, okay.
Well, which country? How did this happen? How did they get here? When are you? Actually, they said it was. I mean, what I love as well is the way they punctuate all of these statements is absolute fact. Nothing to back it up. They're like, well, we all know the vampires came to America during the Civil War. Oh, do we?
Amidst the chaos, they just snuck in.
Got it.
And then they just be like, we estimate there's 20,000 vampires in the US. End of story.
End of it. Then they tell you stuff like, not a lot of people know this, but unfortunately, most vampire hunters are killed by vampires. Are they? Oh, well, like who? Give us one name and one evidence. And when we get onto evidence, they have this whole area that is like their working kind of office. when they start showing the supposed like police reports, autopsy reports, and the camera's just like flashing down on a computer where it says body, autopsy performed, blood drained. So even at this point, I'm holding out thinking maybe these two have just been that, Discovery just really wanted to like pump this up, and these guys are real. Like they do go out and they do go and hunt and look like people do for ghosts. They do that for vampires. But then they start talking about investigate, because it's all in Arizona. Stuff has been going down in Arizona, and it's not just Coyote Pass and Cody and his ringlets. It's a lot more serious than that. They said a lot of people have been going missing, and there is luckily there's this software called VNet, and VNet means you can go on, that's like for the big vampire hunter community, so they're doing, let's cross reference that. A lot of that was being shouted out. Let's cross reference that. Can you pull up that report? That was being said a lot. And they discover, their main thing is in Arizona, there's a lot of people turning up, no names, turning up with their blood drained. So they have to kind of investigate this, hunt down these vampires. So Kate, they find articles about cattle that have been found by this farmer that we'll get onto, this rancher, and the cattle had been found, and they'd had like their organs taken out, their blood drained, and it just kept happening. So they thought, we've got to investigate, because everyone knows that when you find a lot of dead cattle like this, there's vampires around.
Yeah, obviously everyone knows that. So they head off to the set of the ranch. I'm sorry, the ranch.
Kate.
And
it was,
they meet rancher slash actor Jacob Pritchens.
Guys.
So this guy, tell me about this guy, Polly.
So this is like one of the first scenes outside of the interviews of these two guys and their office. So you could kind of look at it and go, if you've ever watched Ghost Hunters, you think, well, okay, so it's these two guys they're interviewing. They seem genuine enough that they could be these guys that literally do this as a hobby, like the Bigfoot people. Okay, got it, buy it. And their office was like definitely part of a set as well, because they had to make it look decent, look good. Okay, I can buy that. Then they walk up to this man that's supposedly the rancher that's found all this cattle that they're interviewing. And I think this person Googled how to play a rancher 5 minutes before he got onto this set. And it's as though he's chewing like a little bit of hay in his mouth, and he takes it out and he's like, howdy. This is in Arizona. Full on Southern Texan accent.
He's got his crisp American Eagle plaid shirt on. He's got that handsome, rugged, just general rugged actor face, and he's leaning casually against his shovel. He's like, "Hey, boys."
And then the conversation consists of lots of dramatic pauses, and then sorry, so it's all Southern. He's got a full-on Southern accent in Arizona. And I'm not saying that, but this guy couldn't have played this better if he tried, to make us then all realize, oh, this is all a hoax, this entire show. Or is it? Like, you can't even, the conclusion we'll get to at the end, but he speaks about, I found my cattle and pause. I don't know what's going on here. And then they go, well, definitely, let's take a look at where you found them. So they go over and they go, yeah. Look at photos. Luckily, they have great crisp photos of the animals. Yeah, it's vampire work. It's vampire work. And the rancher says, this is his level, right, of this documentary. Seriously, well, you know what was really strange? Pause. Other animals, they wouldn't go near the bodies. Pause. Then we cut to an interview with vampire hunters. Yeah, it's very common, like everyone knows, that when a vampire's made a kill, animals won't go near the body.
Scavengers, steer clear.
At that point, I'm going, what the fuck am I watching? what is this? So I'm Googling, watching, laughing, half
Yeah.
still hoping it's real, because they
Yeah.
said at the beginning, they were like, names have been changed to protect the innocent. So I'm like, okay, maybe they got an actor to be brought in to play this part. I'm hoping and praying, Kate. I am hoping and praying at this point.
I know, same. So then, I mean, I had pretty much accepted that this was all fake, but um, so what ends up happening in this conversation is this rancher tells them, "Oh, so yeah, I've definitely told the police about this, but they kind of lost interest. But you know who didn't lose interest? The vet. So maybe you should go talk to the vet." And they're like, "Oh, we're on it." So they race to the vet's office, and they talk with. I mean, what do you have about that? I don't
I
even know if I
literally,
got
my
that.
notes are just a lot of what the fuck.
Yes.
What? So they go to this vet, and the vets obviously can see them straight away. And these two guys are like, we kind of have to protect our identity. We just say we're investigators. The vet says, you know what? Pause. This is one of the strangest cases I've ever seen. I mean, it was
Yeah.
these people chewing the scene. They were making every single dramatic pause, hesitation that they possibly got. They should have just looked directly down the lens of the camera, because it would have probably been more realistic than what we were watching. It was unbelievable.
There were no, you're right. There were no yeah, and I don't
I don't
know.
know, like
It was no, it
maybe.
wasn't realistic
Mm-mm.
talking. They were delivering lines.
Oh,
And so then they go back, they search their database for
VNet.
victims.
Sorry, it's a VNet. Okay.
VNet. They go back to
Mm.
VNet, clack,
Mm.
clack, clack. They're on the keyboard
Yeah.
and they're searching the database for victims that had blood drained and organs removed. And they're able to find a bunch of hits of all these people that were murdered and had all
A
the blood
lot.
drained out of them. A lot. They start listing them. They list like 10 people. And then they go to meet up with a private investigator
Oh,
named
stop.
Tim Follin. And they're like, yeah, so Tim's going to have the insight, the inside scoop that of stuff that we can't access, all these
Mhm.
medical records, all this stuff. He'll be able to tell us. And I'm like, what? And so they meet up there. Like, he's been working on one of these cases.
Mm.
And so they're like, hey, Tim. He's like, hi, guys. There's no introduction or anything ever. It's just like
No.
scene and scene, start the
Yeah.
scene. And they're like, so where did this all happen? Where did this person get murdered? And he's like, actually, right over here. And they stroll over, and there's this like wonky white cross stuck into the ground.
Hmm.
And he's like, it actually happened right here, I think, because I could see some disturbed dirt. And then one of the guys is like, hold on, hold on, hold on. And he gets out this kit and he's
Yeah.
like, actually, this might be the dirt from their home country. And they scattered it to let the other V's know that this is, a good place to feed or whatever he said.
Yeah. We learn that V's will take soil. And you may have seen this, guys, in What We Do in the Shadows, because it is at that level. It is at that level that we're watching this, just with less production value and shit actors. So they said that, well, we all know that vampires have to take soil from their home country wherever they travel. They like to leave it by a victim to let other V's know that they're there. If you ever see just a V graffitied with a circle around it, that's V's warning them safe passage through here. So they take some of that, and this investigator, who's as much of an investigator as that tree outside your window is, he's going, what's going on, guys? And they're taking soil and testing it, and the one vampire hunter looks up to the other and he goes, it's positive. If there's ammonia, it's a high like percentage of ammonia in the soil, which isn't common to here. It's usually common to Eastern European countries, of course, where the V's
Oh,
come from.
yeah, they get a call later from like the dirt scientist or whatever.
Stop.
It's like,
I can't.
well, we tested the dirt, and guess what? It wasn't urine from an animal. They're like, oh my God. He's like, yep, it actually contains chernosum. You know what
Chernosem,
country? You
that's
know which country's soil is 1/5 Chernosem? Romania. Pew, pew,
ding ding ding
pew.
ding. What was so great is that I loved that this scientist, apparently, who is doing this, he also said, they go, that's so strange. He said, well, it did a little bit of digging around. Like he did extra research to find out exactly what country this could be from. I mean, it's the biggest load of shit. And so then we go from them investigating this death of some made up name to then going back and then saying, oh, this is like the investigator. Well, they're still out there in the middle of the desert in Arizona, California, wherever they were filming this, and they said, you know what was it's always, you know what was strange? And they said, what? And they said, the flesh from one of their legs was removed. This person that died, and they go, well, and pause. There were teeth marks. Ding. So they're like, is there any way we could maybe see photos from the autopsy or bones? Just a private investigator says, you know what? Back in my office, I actually have a plaster mold of this dead human's bones, if you want to check them out.
Yeah.
Great. So they all head back to the office. I loved this part. So then they have a look, and they get the book, and they look, and there's two little dots, and they look at each other, go, yeah, this is it. And then they bring out of their bag a real cast of a vampire's mouth with the fangs, and they put it in, and they see, it's perfect. Then this event, whoa, guys, what is this? Who are you? Well, we got to be real with you. We're not actually investigators. We're vampire hunters. What? Then this is great. The vampire hunter. Guys, can you put the cameras down, please? I loved it. You put the cameras down. So then the cameras are down, and they go outside, and luckily the door was open just enough so you can still see and hear everything that's going on. The investigator goes, listen, I can't have anything to do with this. I can't have anything to do with this.
No, I can't talk about ghosts and goblins.
Oh yeah, ghosts and goblins. Can't talk about ghosts and goblins. But luckily, Kate, he did have some more information, and he said, but look, there's a guy in town I think you should speak to, all right? And his name is blah, 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 blah. And look, he claims that he like survived a vampire attack. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be involved in this anymore, guys, but that's who you want to be talking to. And then they go and meet this guy. And they speak first, hunting him down like on the phone. So then they get hold of the mother. And the mother's going, I got to warn you, he can be very erratic and very violent. And don't believe anything he said. He's always been a liar. And
we're supposed to believe that this mother offers up to complete strangers. They don't say who they are at all. And she's just all of a sudden like, oh, the incident. Yeah, I haven't spoken to him or seen him for a couple months. He's pretty sick. He gets extremely violent. I just want to say, I don't believe his story. He's always been an attention seeker. I'm like, give me a break. And then she reveals the address of one of her other kids to these complete strangers.
Sure.
And that's where they head.
So they go there, and they knock on the door, and he like gingerly like opens the door a little bit at night. By the way, if I'd been attacked by a V, God forbid, it's one of my worst nightmares, I would not be opening the door at night. But anyway, they open the door at night. I mean, I don't know why I'm picking on that as like one of the big faults of this show. Anyway, he opens the door, this guy, and he's like, what do you want? Who are you? We just want to talk to you about the incident. And then he unlocks, and then he like pounces on them, and there's a scuffle, and the camera goes down. Anyway, they end up sitting in pitch black in this place he's living in to have an interview with him. Oh, and he's so distraught, Kate. He can't even. I mean, central casting did really well with this. And he's just like, look, I don't want to talk about it, okay? I was homeless, and I said, these two guys, they just said I could stay with them, and then they didn't let me leave. And then, they asked if they could drink my blood, and they did. And then I woke up with a needle in me, and then I can't talk about this, guys. Anyway, it goes on like that. He tells them like where this all happened. So they said, let's go and have a look there.
Did you notice? Wait, sorry to interrupt. Did you notice that when he showed them the scratch on his arm, it was literally like a marker? It was painted on.
Okay.
He described it. He's like, they were stabbing me, stabbing at my arm, sucking my blood. It was so violent. And then he pulls up his arm and it's like a Sharpie line.
I
He
mean,
was, he was, I would say, or as you would say, he was like giving me Bobo Aaron Paul from
Boba
Breaking
Aaron
Bad.
Paul would be
Like
good.
Breaking Bad, like he had the
Hmm.
shaved head and he was just like
So distraught.
so distraught. Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's so much this goes.
Oh,
They then go to this like abandoned haulage yard, right? And they said it's known for homeless people to be living there. So they're going through and they're looking at all the tents and like, oh, it's all abandoned. I've never seen a cleaner homeless encampment in my life. And I live in Los Angeles, which means they're everywhere. Never seen anything cleaner in my life.
nope.
So they're going across it all. Then they find something that possibly could look like a box that something could have slept in. Unsure. They said, nah, this is empty, man. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. And they're going in between these crates. And then the cameraman is like here. And one of the investigators is here. And the cameraman goes, hey, behind you. And luckily the cameraman caught it and he turns around and there's this dark shadow. And then they're off. They're running after this guy. They don't know if it's a vampire. They don't know if it's someone that survived an attack. They're running through. Luckily, the camera's catching all of this.
Right.
But
It was Jeff the PA.
It was Jeff the PA dressed all in black.
Yeah.
Then they don't find him, unfortunately.
He got away.
He got away, but they knew what they luckily had with them is they carry not only a machete with them, they also have luminol constantly. So they was going around spraying luminol everywhere, which guys, if you're unfamiliar with, it is a genuine chemical makeup thing that you spray and it will reveal bloodstains, right? And it's used in crime scenes and things. They're walking around spraying this with their machete in the middle of the night in a homeless encampment. And what is so great, Kate, is that finally they get a hit. And it's the most perfect hand mark I've ever seen, just dragged down the side of this truck.
Oh,
perfect. And that means there's definitely been vampires here.
I love how their line of logic is so simple and it takes such great leaps.
Yeah.
And they never connect the dots for you, really. Like it's basically like there's increased disappearances in Southwest United States. There's missing cattle, loose dirt. There's a random guy with a scratch on his arm. Vampires are plotting a takeover of the United States.
Obviously.
Like that's the theory that they start to present to you like halfway through this. They're like, it's going to be a takeover, obviously.
It's a takeover. They're all getting stronger. They're getting together. Then they go back and they search VNet for some more information. They find that there has just been clusters of all of these disappearances. They are terrified. They go to the warehouse district, where the German investigator says, I'm familiar with this. In Berlin, I've seen a lot of raves, and vampires like to hold these raves because it's easy picking of people. It goes on. They then find out the person that owns this warehouse has warehouses, quote, coast to coast, and they are horrified because they're realizing, Kate, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
This made me think of Nadja's nightclub. And
yeah.
I was cracking up. Is this the point where they just go to an abandoned mine outside of Tucson?
Oh, that comes a little bit later.
Okay.
So they're going around all the warehouses. They find a lot of empty coffins, which was convenient. Definitely there. They're finding the soil. They're finding everything, Kate. Then they decide to go back to the office, look at the maps, and they see, well, look, if all the warehouses are here, where would they be? Oh, there's an abandoned mine shaft. So then they all go down there at night. Now, I'm thinking if I'm a V hunter, why not go during the day? Why are you going at night?
One of two V hunters in the United States. According to these guys, they claim they're the only two in the US.
Yes, I know, even though apparently it's well known that they didn't want to talk about it, but a lot of vampire hunters, get killed on the job. So
apparently. But you're right. They have almost no caution when they're going to look for them. They're just strolling in.
They have a machete. And please don't forget, one of them is the 25th generation of vampire hunters. I think he knows what he's doing, Kate. All right.
You're right.
Oh,
How could I
jeez.
doubt him? How could I
So
even doubt
anyway, they're
him?
wandering around a cave at night, and it was the cameraman ended up getting something again. They were turning one corner, and the cameraman was behind them, and you just saw through the camera something went past the camera. We don't know what it was. Got the machete out, found some more coffins, found some soil. How did this end?
So there's a lot of what we love, which is like, what's that? Did you hear that? What's over there? And then they find candles on the ground and they go, oh, it's a telltale sign they're here. They are here. They are 100% here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they find some backpacks and they just conveniently pull out a calculus book and some makeup.
Sure.
That Jeff the PA had just bought at the Walgreens. And they're like, oh, there's high schoolers here. This could be bad. This could be real bad. And then they go to that's kind of how it ended. They were just like, they were here.
It was oh yeah, I remember now. I don't know how I could forget any detail of this. It was the conclusion that they are after the young, because we learn that vampires, once they get the blood, the youngest blood that they can get, the better, because it's extra strength. It's as though they're on a drug, and they just want younger and younger. And they look at each other and conclude there are hundreds and thousands of V's here, and they are all gonna start getting closer and closer. They're moving into the city of, is it Phoenix we're in? Where are we in Arizona?
Phoenix, Tucson.
Phoenix,
They kind of they bop around.
They're bopping around, hopping and bopping,
yep.
And they're just coming closer into the city. So basically, we're all fucked.
We're
and that was the end of it.
The storage units was how it ended.
What was in the storage?
So what I have is, first they went to the cave, and then they went and met that guy Tony at the rave warehouse. There was like an arcade and all this stuff. And then he's like, well, the guy that books the raves is Sergey Molovic or something.
Yes.
And then they look him up and they see that there was a guy with that name in Arizona, but he's been dead since the 1920s. So they think he's a vampire that went into hibernation. They show this like Photoshop black and white photo. It's hilarious. And then they go into their super secret database and they find an S Molov, like a similar name. And they're like, he owns hundreds of properties in every major US city. The closest one is 4 miles away. Let's go. And it turns out to be a bunch of storage units. And all the doors are conveniently open. So they're kicking open the doors, and then they're casually kicking open these coffins. Like I say, no regard for safety, seemingly.
I know.
Except for the machete. The guy with the machete, he's just got it in his hand casually. And they find an empty jar with blood remnants.
That was great. That was great, guys.
And then they just keep kicking them open, seeing them, kicking them open. And then eventually they see the mark of the V with a line through it. And they were like, this means they know they're caught and they're ready to attack. And then they were like, well, by our count, that means that there's, I don't know, 20,000 Vs just here in Arizona. So that means it's more likely than ever that your neighbors are vampires.
As we said.
So watch out.
I must admit, I haven't heard about how Arizona's doing with this massive vampire influx, but seemingly it hasn't made the news, strangely.
No. Yeah.
So this ends, and of course, I know you were doing the same thing, Googling the shit out of what is this?
Yes.
So I could not make head nor tails of if they went into this. It's kind of, I think they went into this thinking we will do like a ghost hunters, but then they realized they couldn't find any actual vampire hunters and there would be no story. Not that I'm saying they don't exist, because they do exist, especially in America. I've told you that they do exist. So they needed, I guess, to pump up the story. And then they were like, let's just all, I don't understand, Kate. Was this supposed to be something comedic? Was this supposed to be something that was trying to actually fool people? What was the show?
I saw some Facebook posts on Eric's page. He's one of the V hunters. So
Yes.
I went on a little down a rabbit hole because
Good.
first I found people talking about it on the Discovery Plus subreddit. Okay.
Absolutely.
And this very amazing Redditor put all these links. He put a link to Eric's IMDb page, his Facebook page.
What?
He said the movie, he's a movie producer. The movie is the premise to his book, Vampire Killers of Route 66, which is on Amazon. He linked it, all this stuff. He said, this guy on Reddit said, this show's obviously an attempt to cash in on his book and make it a TV series, blah, blah, blah. So then I click on his Facebook page, this guy, one of these vampire hunters we saw on the show, and his name's Eric. And he posted to kind of announce that the show was coming out. And he said, sorry, hold on. Okay, he said, Vampires in America update. This 2-hour special is now airing on Travel Channel, Discovery Plus, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. It is very gratifying to see something we have worked on for many years finally come together. For those who haven't seen the promos and trailer, it's posted here. If you like what you see, please go online and watch the entire show. And then one of his Facebook friends commented, there were a few that were like, oh, so exciting, blah, blah, blah. And then this one person comments, sorry, but people say it fake made up and that you both actors and that you made goofs that prove it fake. There are no vampires on Earth. It just fantasy. But are there people that like to drink real blood or pretend blood and are drinking red wine, etc. instead? Yes, but in reality, no real vampires except vampires bats. I was dying. I was like,
that's possibly one of the best comments that could be left on his page. Okay, so he wrote a book that he's trying to a work of fiction about a fantasy book about V's. Then he got it made into like a mockumentary.
Well, let me read. This is the description of the book. So, Vampire Killers of Route 66. When a map documenting where hundreds of vampires' safe houses are located, a team of highly skilled hunters is summoned to destroy the demons of the night before they destroy us.
Yeah.
Okay. So then he posted, and I was like, maybe he knows it's not so serious, because then he posted on Facebook like a little bit after it had been out. And he's sharing that there's a podcast talking about the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We get on this list. Okay.
And so he says in this post, Vampires in America is the topic of a funny, thoughtful, and engaging podcast entitled Guide to the Unknown. After getting past the initial weirdness of being the primary topic of this very comedic duo, I really enjoyed their insights, commentary, and most of all, their humor. If you have time and want some very good insight into Vampires in America, Kristen Anderson and Will Rogers are quite entertaining. And he posted a link to their podcast episode. So I think we need to link up with these guys.
We need to link up. I'm still not any clearer on how this got greenlit. I have no clue. I will read you some reviews, which are, by the way, you Kate, great research.
Thank you. Thank you.
The reviews are usually some of these shows that are so bizarre on TLC and Discovery. Some of the reviews are better than the shows at times. So this is a review written by a man called Dr. Ken. I'm going to go out on a limb and just say he's not a doctor if he's writing a review about vampires in America. Just going to say, this was 7 months ago. 1 star. Come on, Travel Channel. What happened to your standards? This show is worse than garbage. If this would let me give a negative number, then that's how I would rate it. I'm shocked the Travel Channel has reduced its standards to allow such a show, in brackets, more like an extended middle school skit. It is not a fact-based reality TV show and has nothing to do with travel. The worst acting I have ever seen, almost comical. Indeed, whoever the scriptwriter was doesn't know anything about alignment or consistency. Perhaps they're still in middle school. The premise of this show is laughable and borderline dangerous, in my opinion. My fear is this show will trigger people to run around Nevada, it was Arizona, with machetes looking for vampires at truck stops. Drop this junk and run away fast.
First of all, almost laughable. I'd say it's entirely laughable.
And I would say, Dr. Ken, should you not be concentrating on your medical practice? You know, you're writing like a 5-paragraph review of this show. And I think you've got better things to do. And I love this. My face is going to trigger people to run around Nevada with machetes. Arizona. How many times they mentioned Arizona?
Arizona this, Arizona that. Oh, also someone on the subreddit, so really quick, they go, I'm voting fake for a couple of reasons having to do with production. 1, how did a camera just happen to catch someone running across the view in the cave? 2, why didn't they look behind themselves when a vampire was standing between the trailers? Surely the cameraman would have said something. And then he goes, I work in telecom, so here's the geeky reason I'm not buying the show. At 1 hour and 4 minutes and 52 seconds, they show a scene from the alleyway of their Phoenix, Arizona HQ. Sign on adjacent building says, World Nails 323-222-7073. Google Maps, and they're located at 2427 Broadway in Los Angeles. So critical error with wrong area code and verified.
That I had seen that when I was Googling. I was like, that had popped up. I was like, that is brilliant. All of this was filmed in downtown Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
Every single bit of it was filmed there. So guys, I mean, Kate, what would you rate this outstanding piece of television?
Oh my God, 600. This is so funny. This gave me so much joy.
I'm going to give it 666. I'm going to go above 600 and do 666.
Wow.
I would also just like to say, guys, if anything happens to me from the time I'm recording this to next time we speak, please understand a V took me. I need to put that out there because this is a horror movie. We're mocking about V's and stuff going on, and then it's nighttime. So I just want to put that out there, guys. Please, if anything happens to me, look to the V's. Get these two to investigate my death, okay?
There goes me sleeping tonight. Thank you. Oh my God.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well.
Oh, it was brilliant. We both obviously recommend watching it. The acting was it was first class, guys. It really was so good. Class.
Get a glass of wine and watch this. Yeah.
It was brilliant. Well, okay, it's time to go over to our Wheel of Shame because we need to pick something as equally as brilliant as this last show. So guys, let's head on over to the Wheel of Shame. Read the Wheel of Shame. All right. Like I say, the pickings are kind of thin, but we still have some great ones on here. So let's just spin it, Kate. I don't know if we're going to top what we just had, but let's spin it and go. 3, 2, 1, spin. All right, come on, give us a good one. Come on.
What could live up
I'm
to
not
that?
looking. I'm not looking. I know you can't match it, but we have got for next week. Okay, this is very old school TLC. Okay, and I hope there's going to be some reenactments. It is called Awake Surgery. So it's people that are going to wake up halfway through surgery. So that's what you're getting, folks. I'm sorry, we can't bring you the level of brilliance of Vampires in America every week. We've had Finding Bigfoot, Vampires in America. Next week, you're getting Awake Surgery. And I'm going to go out on a limb, no pun intended here, that it's going to be multiple stories that consist of, and I just remember waking up and seeing the doctor operating on me. That's the entire show.
Basically. I will say it is all cosmetic too. So
Great. All right.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that's
Excellent.
it. That's it.
So you're welcome, guys. That is what we have for next week. It's going to be awake surgery. And I'm sure it's going to be shit. All right. So as we move on, before we leave you, I know this is coming to you a little bit late. We also released today, as you're listening to this, our 90-day fiance coverage. So go and check that out. On Friday, we will have our Bravo show. We are covering Salt Lake City. I just watched it. And it's a doozy of an episode. That Monica's mother, I will be getting into her. And of course, Beverly Hills. And apparently in this week's episode, it aired tonight, but in this week's episode, we see Maurizio. Yes, I will continue to call him Maurizio. And Kyle having an argument. So we'll see what's going on there. We'll be covering that on Friday. We'll also be discussing all the stuff that's come out with Ramona, the Vanity Fair article. We got a lot to discuss in the Bravo world.
Yes.
And happy BravoCon week. Happy BravoCon week for you lucky duckies that are there. What else was I going to say? Yes. So remember to follow us on Instagram, please, at Tender Loving Care Podcast. Email us at tenderlovingcarepod@gmail.com. And also, I think that Kate and I are not letting you guys know enough. We'll put some more posts on Instagram, but you may be watching us right now on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel. So you guys, if you're listening to this right now, thank you so much. Keep listening, but then hop on over to YouTube and you can watch us as we record everything you're listening to from the comfort of our home. So you can get a sneak peek and see what it's like when Kate and I are recording. It's thrilling, guys. Absolutely thrilling. So check that out. Please subscribe, like, comment. All of that really, really helps. So just follow us wherever you can, right, Kate?
Yes. And if you want even more content from us, we are on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/tenderlovingcarepod. And if you do that, you will get 2 extra bonus episodes per month. And that only costs $5 a month, not per episode, per month. And we're having a lot of fun over there. We are covering documentaries about pop culture or true crime, the mysterious, the unknown, anything that is intriguing to us, we are looking at and talking about. So that's another way you can support us as well as just telling a friend about the pod. So thank you so much for being here, everyone.
Absolument. Merci beaucoup. Bonne nuit. And we will see a biento. A biento. My lovely accent. We love you all. Oh, and also I just wanted to do a quick speaking my perfect French as I do. I would just like to say thank you, because we did put something on our Instagram. Merci, 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 because we had a massive influx of listeners from Belgium. Now, Kate and I we see all the statistics, we see kind of the countries and the towns that people are listening from, and we love going through all of that. But in one day, we had a huge surge of people listening to us, specifically in Brussels. I don't know if we were mentioned somewhere, if we were in a publication or something happened, but thank you for listening. Thank you and welcome to all of our new listeners. If you are listening to us from Belgium and know what kind of happened, or if we were mentioned anywhere, please let us know. DM us Tender Loving Care Podcast at on Instagram, tenderlovingcarepod@gmail.com. Kate and I are completely confused, but really welcome it all.
Yeah, we love it. We love you. We are dying to know what happened over there that brought you here. So yes, please reach out. Let us know. And thank you for listening.
Absolutely. We will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.